Hopefully you guys can hear me. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Let me see. Let me get this. Um, can you guys hear me? We can hear you, but no video. Oh my goodness. Let's see here. I'll add to the stage. Okay, hold on. The thing is, they let you. Oh my goodness. Hold on. I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of that background. There we go. Okay. All right. Hi, guys. Fernando here, God's Prepared Warrior. Welcome to God's Prepared Warrior Roundtable Live tonight with technical difficulty. It's not a roundtable live without technical difficulties around here, you know. Um 5 by 5. Okay. All right. Greet and grace. Welcome tonight, my friend. Scott Hummer, welcome to tonight. Salt Mist is in the house. Shelly's in the house. Scott Hummer, I already said, hey, Ryan, my friend Ryan is here. Awesome. Glenn in Texas, my buddy, my neighbor. Welcome to tonight's Roundtable Live, guys. I think I have mentioned everyone here. Glenn Anderson, I sure did. Scott, yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad you guys are here with me tonight. I'm excited for tonight's topic. It's going to be a good one. And if you've been paying any kind of attention, um, you know that the time is to prepare. So we'll get to that here in a little bit. But let's get to the channel news because the channel is made up of a talking head like me, but you are the ones that make this channel, and so I wanna just JBS, welcome tonight. I just want to encourage you guys because you guys are the ones that are sharing the content, and because of you guys, um, we're seeing people join, and that's pretty cool. So YouTube tonight, we are sitting at 742 subscribers, yay! And we are up 5 subscribers this week, so that's pretty neat. TikTok, we're sitting at 3,616. That's you guys over here. And we are up this week 23 new followers on TikTok, so that's awesome. All of you TikTok guys, make sure you're sharing the content, and tap on that screen and invite a friend right now. Right, tell them, hey, come join me as we check out Fernando. So that's TikTok. We got 23 new followers there. Facebook, we got 1 follower this week on the Facebook page. On the Facebook community page, we got 1 follower this week. I'll take it. We got 2 new people on Facebook, so that's awesome. X, we're sitting at 1,040, which we got 3 new followers this last week, so that's awesome. And on Instagram, we have received 20 new followers on Instagram, and we're sitting at 619. Now, Instagram is now competing with YouTube. It's shy of YouTube, but Instagram, I think, is going to come really close or surpass the fellowship on YouTube. So thank you guys for sharing our information because of you. This week we added 53 new subscribers to all of our social media, and we're getting the word out there, right? Preparedness and how all of that goes together with faith, and and how you need faith in preparedness. So thank you guys for doing that. Ohio Valley Prepping is in the house. Welcome, my friend. I am glad you're here with us tonight. And so that is the channel news. Let's go to the news in our world. And I hope you're ready because this is going to kind of set up our topic for today. So um, I think this was on Sunday, late Sunday. Alaska Airlines grounded their airplanes because of a technology issue. Okay. Now I want you to, I'm going to read this to you because just that sounds kind of like, okay, well, they had a technology issue and, that's just, it's a glitch in the system. Well, let me read what it says, right? It says late Sunday, Alaska Airlines grounded all of its mainline aircraft due to what is described as a technology issue. Okay, it's described as that. Okay, um, I'm a big word search person, so if it's being described as this, to me it sounds like this is not the deal. But we're gonna name it this because it sounds good, and we don't want to scare people, right? I go on to read. It says operations halted at approximately 8 p.m. Pacific time and resumed just before 11 p.m. But delays rippled into Monday morning, which was today, a peak travel period across the U.S. airports. Horizon Air, Alaska Airlines, regional partner, was also affected. Right, the timing um, of this incident set off alarm bells. Listen to this in the aviation and cybersecurity communities. Although the airline has since confirmed that the outage was not caused by a cyber attack, the incident still raised urgent questions about resilience in the face of digital disruption. Okay, guys. So um, I saw this come out, and I was I was taken back for a little bit, and like, oh, okay, it was there was a glitch in the system. Okay, I can understand that. Yeah, but if it sends alarm bells to the aviation and the security cyber, I'm sorry, the cybersecurity community, that means it's a whole bigger thing than technology issues, right? To me, that sounds like they've been hacked, and they had to ground everything because they were hacked. But they're not saying that. But it did trigger alarm bells in the cyber security community. So, are they going to really tell us what it was? I don't think so. Why? Because they don't want to bring fear to America because, hey, everything's okay. Everything's fine. Everything is fine. So yeah. So that was on Sunday. It kind of drifted into today, and it's important for you guys to stay vigilant, right? You're going to hear that from me a lot. Stay vigilant to these kinds of things because what if this thing creeped from Alaska Airlines to American Airlines to Delta Airlines to Spirit to all the other airlines to British Air? I mean, you just never know, right? You just never know. So, stay vigilant to these kinds of things because you never know if this is the thing that's going to kick off something even bigger, right? Apparently, all the other uh, aviation places are going well, and it was just Alaska that was tripped. So, pay attention. Pay attention. That's a pretty big thing. In other news, the DHS and FBI have warned us about potential lone wolf attacks since the beginning of July. And so, I am concerned because there are more and more people talking about um, a type of lone actor types of situations. And if you've been paying attention, you've been seeing some of those things happen, right? I think there's been like 2 or 3 incidents is at a church or a synagogue. And just what last night or the night before, somebody ran into a crowd of people who were going to the club, and then those people gave that person vigilante justice, right? And now he's locked up, uh, tattered and bruised by the people that he ran over. Well, the people that were there that he almost ran over, they took they took him out, is what they did. Not literally, but they reminded him that why he has this scar or this bruise or this pain. And then police came and took him into custody, and now he's locked up for, I think he killed a few people. So this is live and well. This was given to us from not just the FBI, but from the Department of Homeland Security, and they're warning about potential lone wolf attacks. We've been seeing them, and I just want you guys to be aware of this that is happening, and that keep your head on a swivel, because what if this happens where you are? And if you have not thought about that, you should go back and look at some of my videos, and I talk about what do you do when this happens and you're right there, or maybe you're down the street, or maybe it's in your neighborhood. What do you do? What is your action as God's prepared warrior in that moment? So make sure you check out some of my videos, because I do talk about that kind of stuff. I don't think they can say someone turned 737 to personal drone. That's true. Our society is going insane. Yes, Scott, you are absolutely right. It is. JBS says, people will always do people things. Got to keep your head on a swivel. Yes, that's right. Unfortunately, it's nothing new. That is correct. Um, JBS says, always know your escape routes. That is correct. And Scott Hummer says, could we see President Obama, be the first president charged with treason, sedition in light of, you know what? I hope so. I think we need to go back to, if we're gonna drain the swamp, right? If we're going to do things right from now on, then we got to do things right from now on, right? So that's my hope, Scott. I hope that people keep to their word, right? I think that's important. We need to go back to that where people are keeping their word. I think that's so important. So yeah. So just be aware that this warning came out at the very beginning of July about potential lone wolf attacks, and I would say that we would continue to see them even further. Maybe I mean, from now on is what I am prepping for. To see those kinds of things, to be ready wherever I go with my family, and to make sure that I'm aware of all of those exits that are around me, to sit in a place where I can see everything, and to make sure that my family is okay. So, yeah, I think that is really important for us to be doing. All right, the FBI. This came out today. The FBI warns South Carolina residents of statewide scam using spoofed phone numbers. So the FBI is talking about this, and that there's impersonation scams across the state. And according to the release from the agency today, right, criminals are reportedly posing as FBI agents, disguising themselves with phone numbers from the agency. So Guys, if you're anywhere close to South Carolina, and this is actually in Columbia States, make sure that you are really paying attention to what is happening with your phone, right? You're going to be scammed. I am scammed daily through text messages. And the way you can tell that it's a scam is that it's connected to like 50 other phone numbers. And so delete that, block that number, because all they are scammers and they're just trying to scam you out of money. Um, my wife almost got scammed. I mean, it sounded really good. And she was almost scammed by that. And I know a lot of people, friends of mine, who have been scammed because of phishing through email, text messaging, and even phone calls. So just make sure that you know that this stuff is happening and that you could be a potential victim. Be very very careful and stay vigilant to who you're communicating with on your phone. I think that was an important find that I found today to share with you guys. Um, yeah, so just see, Salt Miss says I get a ton of tax relief calls calling daily. I block and use a new number. Shaking my head. Yes, I know. I'm telling you, I get scammed on the daily myself. The next bit of news comes here to us. Microsoft SharePoint attacked. Officials issued a warning about active exploitation. Okay. See, it says federal cybersecurity officials have issued a warning to Microsoft users about security flaw allowing hackers to access to certain SharePoint systems. So, guys, you gotta be cyber aware. I mean, it's not. We don't live in a day anymore that things are analog, right? A lot of our stuff is digital. We do digital banking. We communicate digitally, and it's important that you guys are paying attention to all of your digital stuff. I woke up this morning to an email that said, Fernando, please enter this code because you are requesting to change your password. No, I didn't. I was asleep and I didn't do that. So delete. You're deleted. And so, we live in a world where not only are we going to be attacked physically, not only are we going to be attacked spiritually, but we are going to be attacked cyberly. Wow, everything is moving in that way, and so it's. I mean, we're seeing all of this come out. The FBI is warning us. The Department of Homeland Security is warning us. Microsoft is warning us of the stuff that they're building that has holes in it, and now hackers can get into it. So, guys, be make sure that you have somewhere all of your passwords and you have them locked up. Maybe on a USB drive, encrypted. Maybe you have it on a piece of paper, locked away, so that nobody can get that, right? So that's important. I think it's so important for us to start to move and think in that way because it's not just physical, spiritual anymore, right? It's now on our social media, and so I think it's so important for us to be vigilant about those things here too as well. So let's see. Genesis Design, welcome to the chat, guys. All right. Um, so yeah, so I think that's important to share with you guys. One last piece of information before we get into our topic, and this will kind of lead us into there too. All of this is leading us into the topic, but just this is just another one that I think is important to pay attention to because it's not just us saying it. Okay, Mexico just slapped a safety and security warning from the Canadian government. Listen, Mexico just got slapped with a safety and security warning from the Canadian government, right? So a travel advisory has been issued for the people of Canada, okay? And it's not just a travel advisory, it is actually a do not travel advisory because there's two, right? Just like there's a flash flood warning and flood warning, right? There's two. Um, there's a travel advisory, just be aware if you're going to travel, and then there's a do not travel advisory, and Mexico was slapped, or with the Canadians were told, do not travel to Mexico, right? Um, and why? Well, because it's due to the increased risks associated with visiting these places where cartels are running rampant, right? Where they're taking people, they're essentially sometimes ending their life, and it's important because a lot of people like to go vacation in Mexico. I don't know why you want to go extremely hotter, but hey, Texas is fine. You get the same heat, the same sun, but maybe not as hot, right? The closer you get to the equator, the hotter it is. I'm just saying. So Canada has um, has issued um, do not travel advisory. So I like to look at what other places are doing and saying, because I think it's important, for me, right? Uh to not vacation when someone else is saying don't go out there. It's not safe to go outside, right? Um Scott Hummer says my son's wife has family in Mexico. Okay, yes, make sure they're aware that this is happening, because that's a really big thing. Um, yeah. So I always say what happens over there is going to eventually happen over here, and I've been saying that since all the writing that was happening in South Central, or yeah, South Central America, and then eventually it all came over here. I was saying that when the writing started over there in England, and I said it's going to happen over here. And what happened? It happened over here. So, I look at these things that are happening over there, and I ask myself always, Fernando, how would you prepare for that thing? And so, I look at these things, and for this example, well, I'm just not going to go to Mexico. I haven't been to Mexico in a long time, since I was in my youth. And so I have no business over there. Like I said, I don't need to go. So I'm just not going to go. And I'm glad that people are seeing that warning and are heeding to that warning. And I've been sharing a bunch of cartel related stuff here lately, and I think we can look in our own news, right? How the cartels have been busted here, um, with the shipments of ammo and all that kind of good stuff. And so it's something to pay attention to, and I would encourage all of you guys to pay attention to that, because I live in Texas and it's actually here. So yeah, I mean, if Donald Trump has to send the military to the border in the Big Bend area, national park, I mean, I think that's a big thing. And I've been telling you guys about that when that started, way back when. And so, other countries are getting wind of it, and they're saying, do not travel over there. It's not a good thing. So yeah, be aware of that, because that's a huge thing. Canada's telling their people don't go to Mexico, because I guess a lot of Canadians travel to Mexico for vacation. Like I said, just come to Texas. specifically come to the south central part of Texas, and you'll get all the sun, you'll get all the hot you want. You can even go to the coast and take in some waves and stuff. I'm just saying. So yeah. All right. So pay attention to that. And so let's go ahead and get on with our topic for tonight. Um, tonight I want to talk about, because all of this that we talked about is really, global and, uh, country, instability and infrastructure risks, right? All of that I talked about tonight is a global thing. I think that a lot more of it is happening to us because we have a lot of enemies, and a lot of people really want to take us out. And I think it's important for us to really understand um, why that's important, right? Because for us to be prepared is for us to be vigilant and to be paying attention to what's happening, right? So how can we as warriors um, be physically and spiritually ready when it comes to these things, right? So I want our focus tonight to kind of look at this global instability and infrastructure risks that we are facing almost on a daily basis, right? These are things that many in the prepping community pay close attention to. Why? Because it kind of gauges where we're going. It also sometimes gauges what we should prepare for, right? And so tonight I want us to really look at this in a deep way, right? We just looked at some news headlines, and it brings to the forefront of our mind, how do I prepare for that, right? What does that mean for me? And that's important for us as warriors, right? To be ready and to be ready to respond to that. Now, I posted a picture. If you guys follow me on my social media, I posted a picture yesterday. Um, yeah, yesterday, of me holding my boomstick, and I had my chest rig on, and I wanted to see how long it would take me to get that stuff put together and put on and ready to go um, in an instant, and literally to grab my bag, to put on my chest rig, to you know um, strap my boomstick on. Literally took me no more than 5 minutes, right? Just to throw all that on, right? Um, and so if you go and you look at that picture, I think the words to the post that I posted was, I'm trying to see how long it's going to take for me to be ready to go, right? And I think that that's a mindset that I have built into my brain, and I think it's a mindset that we all need to, because of what we're seeing in our world, right? Now, I'm telling you this not to bring fear, because we don't look at this through the lens of fear. Why? Because God doesn't give us the spirit of fear, according to 2 Timothy 1:7, that says God doesn't give us a spirit of fear, but he gives us love, power, and a sound mind. We have a sound mind. So the scripture verse that I really want to anchor to tonight is Psalms 46:1, that says, God is our refuge and our strength, right? So, and then it says, an ever present help in times of trouble. And when you look at our news, we are in trouble in so many ways, right? From the Alaskan Airlines being shut down because of, you know, a glitch or whatever. But it scares the cyber security world, right? So God is our refuge, he's our strength, right? And whenever we're in trouble, he is our help. And so we don't panic, right? We prepare. That's what we do. And as God's prepared warriors, we prepare with purpose. This is important, right? We stand in the gap, right? Not just for ourselves, but for our families, for our church family, for our community, for our friends. We stand in the gap, right? And so that's important for us to know, because I truly believe that God has created us for relationship, and not only in the physical, but I mean in the spiritual, but also in the physical. That's why we cling to people. That's why we have a group of friends. That's why we're married to our spouse. That's why we're married to our spouse, and we wanted to have more humans, and so we added children to the mix, and then we've gone even further and we've added pets to the mix, right? And now they're family. And so, everything we do needs to be done with purpose, right? For all of them, right? And so, what are we seeing, right? What are we seeing in the headlines? Well, there's ongoing global conflicts, right? Ukraine is and Russia is still going on. The Middle East, there's still tensions out there. China is now bugging all about Taiwan, and so we have these global conflicts. And guys, you guys need to be watching this, because it came out. I think I saw something today that and I should have grabbed it, but I didn't. There was a news report I saw that might have saved it to my phone, but um, we are inching. It talks about how we are inching closer and closer, and that we're actually even closer than we think to nuclear war, right? And so this ongoing global conflicts, a lot of people, sorry guys, my mouth is dry. Um, a lot of people are like, that's over there, that's between Ukraine and that's between Russia and blah blah blah, right? And I get that, you're right, but somehow we have a hand in it somehow. And so, um it causes issues for us being involved. And so this is why we have so many enemies. And so those things are going on. You need to be paying attention to that. Cybersecurity breaches, targeted infrastructure, grids, water systems, hospitals. We've seen it. Cell phones, right? We've seen it. Guys, you need to be aware of that, right? You need to download, I think, download detector. I don't know if it's still up and running. I think they were going to switch to a different platform, but download detector is an app that I have on my phone. I need to look at it. I haven't seen it in a while. But it also gives out when things go out, when there's an outage. And it's really neat because it gives you kind of like a pie shape of what part of that infrastructure is affected. Is it the website? Is it the cell phone? What is it? And so if you have an outage, you can go there and look at that and see if that outage is affecting just you, right? Or maybe it's on a global thing, or on a United States thing. You know what I mean? And it's good to have tools like that to be able to look at, to see how big this thing is. Because if you can see how big it is in that moment that your cell phone goes out, you'll know that maybe we had an EMP attack, and now my computer doesn't work, my TV doesn't work, this doesn't work, that doesn't work, right? And you begin to kind of like um um you know look at that stuff yourself, and be able to no, it's not that, or yes it's this, or no, it's not that. And you're able to come up with your own conclusion in the event that we cannot communicate with one another, right? So those are important, right? Those are important things. Hey guys, thank you for joining me on TikTok. So we also have natural disasters, right? Oh my God, here in Texas, we just had that. We had flooding, right? If you haven't been paying attention, in the ocean, we have tropical storms. and there was just one in the Gulf a couple of days ago. And so we need to be paying attention to that. We got to know that June, was it June 1st, June 2nd, to November is hurricane season for the world. And so, I mean, this is not just something I know. Everybody should know that, right? So you are aware and you can prepare, right? Not only that is in the news, but there are emerging threats to shipping, right? I mean, all these boats that are being bombed, in the Strait of Hormuz and places like that, by the Houthis. I mean, come on, that's going to affect us. If you ordered something from China, it's not going to come because it just got bombed, right? We got to pay attention to the food and energy supply chains because that's going to affect us, right? If you want to look at it, go to the store, right? Pay attention. Are there more holes than there were before, or are they just fronting things, right? I would encourage you to look at that. Tell me, Fernando, I found that my Walmart is out of this, right? Because when you start paying attention to those things, you're going to begin to see a whole bigger thing when you go to the grocery store, right? Are prices going up? Heck yeah, prices are going up. So just be aware of those things, right? I am totally aware when I go to Costco, and the Costco that I go to is on a frontage road, and a lot of times the line to get into the shopping center is on the frontage road and a long way back. And so if I know that that's happening, there's something to do with gas prices, right? And so people will come out of the woodwork just to come out and fill up and that kind of a thing. So, pay attention to those things. It's not just happening just because, right? Um, there are emerging threats to shipping lanes, right? We just said that. And internet cables. Internet cables are getting cut and pulled all the time, right? And a lot of times it's been over there, but just wait till it starts happening over here, right? So you got to pay attention to that stuff. Um, Economic inflation spikes and global disruptions, all of that is happening in our world, right? So here's the point. Here's what I want to kind of want to get to. Um, None of those things should surprise us, right? Bullet. None of those things should surprise us. Why? I'll tell you why. Because Jesus told us there would be wars and rumors of wars. He said there would be famines, and he said there would be shakings, right? Earthquakes, things like that. But he also he also said, don't be afraid, right? We shouldn't be afraid. Why? Because he's in control of all things, right? And these are just the birth pains. It's just the beginning of it's not the end. It's just the beginning, right? And so these things are there for us to really pay attention to. Yes, Scott, Matthew 24, you are right. Salt Mist says between Russia and Alaska, 15 earthquakes. Yes, you're exactly right. All of that stuff is happening, right? Hey, John, welcome to the live tonight. All of those things are happening, and Jesus said that those things would happen. This is what he told his disciples in Matthew 24. So what is the practical thing that we need to do as God's prepared warriors? Um, how do we prepare for instability? What does a wise warrior do when the power grid fails or cyber attacks hit infrastructure? What do we do? Well, if it's the water, we need to have a stockpile of water, right? Have we collected rainwater? Have we built a rain catchment system? Do we have water filters in the event we need to pull from a stream? Do we have those things um, practically prepared? What if it's a power outage? Do you have backup generators, whether that's gas or solar, right? Do you have solar panels? Invest in those things, right? I know that you can get a pretty good, um, inexpensive solar panel at Harbor Freight. They sell some of those things. My friend has some of those at his house where I work, and he is powering his stuff with those real inexpensive panels. Does he have to change them? Yeah, he does, because they're real inexpensive, but they work, right? So he has those. Do you have battery banks? I mean, that is like the simplest thing that you can get. And I'm going to be honest with you. There's no shame in my game. I'm gonna buy something and I'm gonna try it. I'm not sponsored by anybody, and all the things that you see in my videos, I bought myself. And so, I am in that mode of I'm gonna, if there is a battery bank and it's real inexpensive, I'm gonna buy it and I'm gonna try it. And I'm gonna tell you, I bought these two right here. This one has a solar panel on it, as you can see. And I bought these two on the TikTok shop, and they were both $10. And I'm gonna tell you, these things last a long time. And I have them in my get home bag that I have with me every day. This one is hanging on my bag because it has a carabiner on it. This one runs on the inside. And so they charge my phone. Guess what? They charge my GMRS radios because they are USB-C rechargeable. They charge my iPad. I can do all sorts of things with those batteries. They charge my Meshtastic device, and so I have those. I purchased them because I need them and I use them, right? And so do that. Prepare for a power outage, right? Maybe you do a trial run power outage, right? And you do this with your family, and you get your stuff. Maybe it's a code word. Let's go get your stuff, right? And the kids know that they got to get their bug out bags or whatever, and you're getting all your stuff and you're loading it in the car. How long does it take? Have you tried that? Have you got people, your family in that mode? Do they even know what to do if anything happens, or is it just you? No, you got to train your whole family on how to do it, right? Um, Comms are important. Communication is important, and I will tell you, it can get pricey. Yes, it can. I have this ham radio right here that I bought off the TikTok shop, and it's a really good ham radio. It's the Baofeng UV K5, I think, something like that. And then I have um, the GM15 Pro. That's my GMRS radio, and then I have a UV5R radio, and then I have my Retevis RA25 radio. That is a mobile radio, ham radio, which has more. It reaches out more, right, than the handhelds do, and so comms is important, right? You need ham radio, you need GMRS, you need licenses for those. It's okay to listen on those, but you can't transmit until you have a license. GMRS, all you have to do is send $35 to get that license, and they send it to you. Ham radio, you got to take an exam to get your basic, right? So you're going to use those. I use them all the time. I'm part of a Meshtastic group for my Meshtastic radio. I'm also part of a GMRS net, and here recently I've been leading that net because the net control has been out of town. So I'm stretching myself to learn these things, and you can also. Those things are so important for you, right? Let's see. Yes. Okay, cool. Um, So comms are important. Food security is important, right? Stock shelf stable food, grow a garden, right? I started doing that. It kind of, but my jalapenos are growing, well that's good. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna take a stab at it again this week. I'm gonna try it again, see how it goes. Maybe somebody who's into farming. Maybe somebody who is into growing plants. I know people who grow plants, and I ask them tons of questions, and that helps me. So do that kind of thing. um, Make sure you have cash on hand. I'm not a financial advisor, so don't listen. But I would have cash on hand. What if there is a some kind of EMP that takes everything out, and now you can't get money out? Do you have cash on hand? You keep fuel. Stock your fuel. Make sure you rotate it. Make sure you put fuel stabilizer in it. Make sure that your vehicle is halfway full at least, and then fill it. Right, halfway, fill it. That's what I do. I do that all the time. Stock your basic medical supplies. Have a family emergency plan for those kinds of items. You might have somebody who takes medication. Make sure you're stocking on that medication. Make sure you ask for a 30-day supply. Maybe you join those places like Chase Medical and all that. I'm just saying because that's what I hear. I'm not sponsored by them or anything. And then of course, most important, as Bullet cries over there, um, make sure that you are practicing digital safety, right? Make sure you're creating strong passwords that cannot get broke. Um, Make sure you're rotating those passwords, not rotating, making them new again, like changing them, right? Uh, Often, right? I think they say 6 to 9 months. I would actually do it uh, sooner. Make sure they're strong passwords. Make sure you have offline, like an offline list of all of your, because it's hard to remember all that stuff, right? And I would have that somewhere locked up, maybe on a thumb drive, maybe an encrypted one. Maybe you have it locked up because you have it written down on paper. Just never know, right? And just be aware of phishing scams and things like that that can come in through email and things like that. Um, so tonight, here's your call to action. What should you do as God's prepared warrior? Well, I would encourage you to make a list tonight. You know, what's the one area above that I just talked about? Physically, what is that one area that you're weak in, right? And commit to that. Commit to bringing that up. Is that digital security, digital safety? Is it your health? Is it cash and fuel? Is it food safety? Is it communications? Is it power? Is it if the water goes out? Where is your weakness in? And commit this week to strengthen it. I think that's something important, because a lot of times, and I didn't do it this weekend, but a lot of times over the weekend, I will post a picture and I will say, "What are you prepping?" Right? I'll post like I have another bag of rice I need to put through the food saver, and I'll post something that I've done, and what are you prepping, right? And so I would encourage you to think about that over the weekend. I know you guys got to go to work, and I do every Monday through Friday, and so the weekend is when I get to do all that stuff. So you know do it. Commit this week to strengthening that area of weakness that you might not have prepared, right? All right, we're almost done. I want to kind of pivot. Let's pivot um, to the spiritual side, because I think this is important. It's good to know all that practical knowledge, but it's also even better to know the spiritual side of preparedness, right? Because it's faith over fear. So let's pivot to this spiritual side. And if the world is shaking, what do we stand on, right? If the world is shaken, what do we stand on? Our foundation must be on Christ. Now, I am a Christian. I'm a pastor. I'm a chaplain. Um, I am a human being like you. And I have chose to put my foundation on Jesus Christ. And I don't prep in fear, I prep in faith. And I trust God. I don't trust systems, right? Systems will fail, banks will fail, power will fail, networks will fail, even the government will fail. And you might be saying, yes, Fernando, you are right on that one, right? Um, and so it's important for us to know to know that, right? It's important for us to have that foundation, not to trust on any of those systems, but to trust in God, because God doesn't fail, right? Let me share this. I love this verse. We learned it with our Bible study group. It is Psalms 20, verse 7. And it says, some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we trust in the name of the Lord our God. And so, yes, we already know that there are going to be wars and rumors of wars. We already know that the earth will shake. We already know these things will happen, right? Because Jesus said that they will. But be alert and not anxious, right? Don't be anxious for anything. The Bible tells us. Jesus says in Matthew 24, don't see that you are not alarmed. We stay ready, but rooted in peace, right? Community matters, right? I would encourage you guys, get with your friends, start talking about preparedness. You might say, Fernando, I have a family member who is not into preparedness. And, it hurts me. It's my husband, it's my wife, it's my brother, it's my sister, it's my parents, whatever. You should go back to a few lives back. I talk about how do you share preparedness with family who don't want to be preppers. How can you do it in a way to where they don't even know you're doing it, and all of a sudden they become preppers? So it's one of the lives a while back. So make sure you check that out. So community matters. You were never meant to go at it alone, right? God's prepared warriors are a body. We're a body of Christians, right? We don't stand alone. We're not a lone soldier, a lone wolf. We find people of like faith and we build together, right? We should have a mindset of mission, right? We don't just prep for the sake of prepping, right? We should prep to say, who can I serve in a crisis, right? You should let your home, let your home be a lighthouse, not a bunker, right? I'm wanting to work with my neighborhood to all of us collectively be in an understanding that we're in a not safe world. And the great thing is I live in a cul-de-sac, so that's easier to kind of watch over in the event stuff happens and you have to band together. So that's my goal, is to bring my community into that, my neighborhood into that, and one neighbor at a time, and just talk to them about preparedness, right? So I would encourage you to do that too as well. Now, we all know that this world is unstable, right? Infrastructure is vulnerable, but God is not shaken, right? His people should be the most steady and the most ready, right? The most grounded and the most prepared, because we have hope, we have wisdom, and we have purpose. Last scripture verse I want to share with you tonight before we close is Isaiah 26, verse 3. It says, you will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you. So, guys, for your final challenge tonight, this week, take one spiritual and one practical step toward being more prepared, right? Share with that in the comments on this video, maybe in the videos this week. Share about what step you're going to take to be prepared. right? To be more prepared. Where is your weakness, and how are you going to work and strengthen that out, right? Talk about it with your family. Pray about it, right? Always be in prayer. Pray about those things. Train your hands for battle, right? Psalm 144:1. I lied to you. I'll give you one more. It says, "You prepare my hands for battle," right? And so God does that with our hands, and He prepares our heart for peace. So think about that, guys, and I would encourage you to do that. Also, I want to share this before we go really quick. If you have a prayer request, I want to set up a prayer request thing. I'm still trying to figure out if I'm going to do that through the website, or I'm just gonna, I mean, you guys can email me all the time. You can email me at godspreparedwarrior@gmail.com. I have had several people email me their prayer requests. I'm praying. My wife are praying for them, and if you would like for me to share them, um, I can do that. And that way we have the whole team sharing. So, guys, thank you for joining me tonight. And Glenn Anderson, thank you for being here. Salt Miss, Scott Hummer, Grit and Grace, thank you for being here. You guys are so awesome. John, thank you for joining tonight. All of you on TikTok, thank you for coming in and hanging with us tonight. And just wanted to thank you guys for coming in. So until next time, guys, have a good night, and I will see you in the next videos in the coming days. Have a great day. God bless, and I am praying for all of you. Be safe out there.